Welcome to the Simplicity of Wellness podcast. I'm Amy White, holistic nutritionist, life coach, and weight loss specialist. If you're tired of overcomplicating food, battling your body, and starting over every Monday, you're in the right place. Here we talk about what actually works, simple shifts in food, mindset, and habits that lead to lasting change. Let's dive in. Welcome back, Simplifiers. If you're new here, I'm Amy White, board-certified holistic nutritionist and life coach who specializes in women's wellness after 40. I want to start today with a scene I think you're going to recognize. It's Sunday night. You're feeling good. You know what you're going to eat this week. You have a plan. You're ready. Monday goes well. Tuesday goes well. Wednesday, you're still in it. And then Thursday happens, or Friday, or maybe it's Tuesday afternoon and something comes up at work and you grab whatever there is, and suddenly you're telling yourself you're off plan. Here's what gets me the most about that moment. Yes, you probably feel frustrated, but the part that really gets me is that specific shame that comes from leaving something you chose. Nobody made you do this plan. Nobody handed it to you. You sat down, you decided, you committed. It was completely yours. And somehow that makes it hurt more, not less. I've heard this from so many of you. I was doing so well until Friday. I just can't stay on track. I don't know why I keep doing this. What if the structure itself is the problem? What if it's the plan that's the problem? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Most of the wellness advice out there is built around a path, a plan, a program, something you follow. And here's the thing about a path. A path has edges. You're either on it or you've left it. There's no in between. The moment you go off plan, you're not just making a choice. You're breaking a promise you made to yourself. And that broken promise doesn't just sit there. It carries that shame with it. And shame activates a spiral that I think every single woman listening to this has lived through at least once. The spiral sounds like this. I already blew it. I might as well just keep going. I'll start again Monday. The plan wasn't the problem. You weren't weak. The structure was the problem because the structure was binary, on or off, in or out. And binary thinking has no room for real life. Every diet you've ever tried was a planned path you were supposed to follow, and every path had an edge that you eventually fell off of. Not because you lacked discipline, but because paths are rigid and life isn't. Real life is unpredictable, messy, non-linear. Work happens, kids happen, Thursday afternoons happen. A path has no room for any of that. So what's the alternative? Steps. And I know that sounds simple, maybe even too simple, but stay with me. A step is a behavior, a daily action. It's what you eat for breakfast. It's whether you go to bed an hour earlier. It's a walk after dinner. It's choosing water over something else. These are lifestyle choices, the small daily decisions that either move you toward how you want to feel or away from it. That's a step. Nothing more complicated than that. Steps move you in a direction. And the key difference between a single step and a structured path is this. With steps, there's no on or off. There's just the next step. The framework doesn't have edges to fall off of because it's not a path. It's just one behavior at a time moving in a direction. This changes everything about what a stumble actually is. In path thinking, any slip or stumble is a failure. You fell off. You have to get back on. There's a gap to close, a deficit to recover from. In step thinking, every step is just information. You make a choice, you notice something about it, and you step again. What you notice is simple. How did that feel? Did you feel good after that meal, or did you feel sluggish and still a little hungry? Did you feel proud of that choice, or did you feel like it didn't really serve you? Do you want more of that feeling or less of it? That's the whole check-in. And whatever your answer, that's what shapes your next step. The choosing is built right into that moment. That's not recovery. That's not damage control. That's just the process. Step, notice, step again. Every step is a choice. That's what makes it intentional. You're not on autopilot and you're not following a script. You're just deciding one behavior at a time based on what you know right now. What you notice about how you feel and how you want to feel is what makes the next step different. Not a fix, not a correction, just a more informed decision. There's no gap to close. You're not behind. You're just there, taking the next step from where you are. I want to bring something in here that I came across recently about elite athletes because, believe it or not, it connects directly to what we're building. Research on top performing athletes found that the best in the world don't rely on positive self-talk. You know what I'm saying? The I've got this, I'm going to win, I'm unstoppable. They actually found the opposite. When pressure is high, trying to force positive thoughts creates an internal conflict. Your brain has a built-in lie detector. And when you're struggling, I've got this can feel like a lie. The conflict increases anxiety. It doesn't reduce it. What elite performers do instead is use neutral facts, observable, accurate, present tense facts. Not, I'm going to win this. Instead, my feet are set, my target is clear, I've done this 10,000 times. No pressure, no performance, just what's true right now. Now bring that into your world. Path psychology needs positive self-talk to survive. You need to believe in the destination. This time will be different. I'm going to stick to the plan. And when Friday hits and things don't go perfectly, the belief cracks. The talk stops working and the spiral starts. Step psychology doesn't ask you to believe anything about the future. It just asks you to observe what's true right now. For example, my next meal is breakfast. I have cooked protein in the fridge. Lunch kept me full for over 4 hours. That's not positivity. That's accuracy. And that's actually what being intentional means. Intentional doesn't mean inspired. It doesn't mean motivated. It doesn't mean feeling ready. It just means accurate. Knowing what the next step is and taking it based on what's true right now and what you actually want next. I want to make sure this lands because it's easy to hear and then just move on. So I'm going to say it again. Being intentional has nothing to do with how you feel. It has nothing to do with motivation or momentum or whether you wake up ready to go. All of those things are about inspiration. And inspiration is unreliable. It shows up sometimes and it doesn't show up other times. And it has no relationship to what your body actually needs. Intentional just means you know what the next step is and you take it. That's the whole thing. You're not asking your brain to perform. You're asking it to observe. What's available? What's true? What do I want next? You don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to know what your next step looks like. What's available? What's doable right now, today? Those are two completely different asks. Inspiration asks you to feel something. Intention just asks you to decide something. And a decision is available to you on any day, in any mood, after any meal, no matter what happened on Friday. Taking a step and being intentional isn't about being perfect. Let me explain that a little bit more by telling you something that nobody typically says out loud, but I see it underneath almost every conversation I have. The belief that 80% will never be enough to actually move the needle. That your body is only going to respond when everything is in place and done perfectly. Anything less than 100% in what you're doing isn't really making a difference. So you wait for the week when everything lines up perfectly. And the waiting is exactly what keeps you stuck because nothing is ever going to line up perfectly. Here's an example. You're going to a party, you decide you're not drinking tonight. That's your plan. That's your 100%. You walk in, someone hands you a glass of wine, and you take it. You drink 1 glass of wine. Your normal would have been 3. You go home feeling like you failed. But let's look at what actually happened. You didn't have 0 glasses of wine. True. But you also didn't have 3. 1 glass of wine versus 3 is not the same thing. It's a completely different biological event. 3 glasses means more calories, lower inhibitions, and almost guaranteed late-night snacking because 3 glasses of wine triggers hunger in a way that 1 glass doesn't. The morning after 3 glasses looks completely different from the morning after just one. You reduced your intake by more than half. Your body had a completely different night than it would have had, and yet you went home calling it a failure. That's path thinking. You were either not drinking or you were drinking, on or off. And because you had that one glass, you were off, done, finished, no longer on plan. But what if that one glass was just a step, a single behavior with information attached to it? Did one glass of wine work better or worse than 3 glasses? How did you feel the next morning? Do you want more of how you felt after 1 glass versus 3 glasses, or less of how you felt? And what does that tell you about your next step at the next party? That's not failure, that's data. And data is exactly what moves you forward. 80% isn't settling. Biologically, 80% of your steps, those behavior choices, that move you in a healthy, positive direction will do more for your metabolism than any plan you've ever pushed yourself through and eventually abandoned. Because here's what the path cycle actually costs you metabolically. It's not just the days you're off plan. It's the cortisol from the shame spiral. It's the blood sugar chaos from the all or nothing eating. It's the inflammation from starting over at 0 every few weeks. The biological cost of an all or nothing cycle is enormous. Consistent, imperfect action is not a consolation prize. It's how sustainable fat loss actually works. It's how appetite regulation works. It's how your body learns to trust the signals you're giving it. A path demands 100% or it starts to fail. Steps don't demand anything. They're just always available. 80% of your steps pointed in the right direction, taken consistently over time, is not almost enough. It's exactly enough. I realized something while I was putting this episode together. I've been coaching this way for years, but I've never described it in these terms. I've never called it steps. I've never said there's no path here, just the next step. But when I look at what I actually do with my clients, this is exactly what it is. And I want to be clear about something because I think this is where a lot of coaching gets it wrong. I do give my clients a starting point. Protein at every meal, building your meals around protein and vegetables, noticing how long you feel full, shoot for about 4 hours between meals, tune into your sugar cravings and notice if they start feeling less demanding over time. That's a starting point, not a path. It's a direction. There's a difference. A path gives you a structure to stay inside of, edges to fall off of, a right way and a wrong way to follow it. A direction just says, here's where we're heading. Now let's figure out how to get there one step at a time based on what your body tells us. The parameters are just the first steps, an on-ramp. Everything after that is built on what you notice. And that's where the 3 questions come in. Every session, I ask the same things. What went well? What didn't go well? And what will you do differently for the things that didn't feel like they went well? Because awareness is where intentional living actually starts. The more clearly you can see what happened and why, the easier it becomes to make small, doable adjustments that fit into your real life. Not an overhaul, not a new plan. Just a slight shift based on what you know now, so that what felt difficult last week starts to feel more natural this week, then easier the week after that. You're not recovering from failure, you're not getting back on track, you're just looking at the last set of steps, noticing what the information tells you, and figuring out what your next steps might look like. I don't help my clients build a path that they need to follow with a strict all or nothing mentality. I'm helping them just take one step after the next in the direction that they want to go. I'm hoping now that you have the language, it changes something for you. Because the language you use to describe your own process changes how you feel about that process. If you're thinking in path language, every imperfect day is a fail. If you're thinking in step language, every choice is just the next step, available to you right now, no matter what happened before. Here's what I hope you leave with today. You don't need a new plan. You don't need to start over. You don't need to feel motivated or inspired or ready. You just need the next step, and then the one after that. When a step doesn't serve you, you didn't fail. You notice, you redirect it, you step again from where you are. That's not a program. That's not a 30-day reset. That's just intentional living, and it's available to you today, exactly as you are, starting with your very next decision. You haven't fallen off anything. You're just here. And here is exactly where the next step starts. That's all for today, but I think it was a lot. I think there's a lot for you to sort of think about and evaluate. So I want you to have a great week, and I'll be back in the next episode. If you want daily support and a community of people on the same path, join us inside Hangry to Healthy. It's my no-drama weight loss and wellness membership. If you want personalized guidance, book a call. For $47, we'll get on a call for an hour. We will identify at least one thing about your diet and food that's holding you back from getting the results that you want. You'll leave the call with a clear plan and resources tailored to your action steps. Links to both are in the show notes. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.